All right, welcome to this week's edition of the Gloves Are Off. I'm Moses Woldu, and a special mention to David Zerzinski, scoring his second goal in the NHL. Congratulations. You now have 2 more goals than I do in the pros. So good luck to you in the Ottawa Senators. They did win 4
more goals in hockey in general.
Well, there you go.
Overall performance.
Well, I would, it counted. Doesn't street hockey work out somewhere?
Well, that kind of,
You know what, Greg Buchanan, you've played yourself, of course.
Yes.
Now you are an announcer and a GM of the Lord Mr. Junior Bandits. How are you?
Yes, not bad, Moses, not bad.
Excellent. And Scott Manners, well, I haven't done well with the curling rock, I'll tell you that much. But you certainly have. You're 2012 Tankard champion, of course, Brier participant as well. And we're glad to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me on the show. It's great to be here today.
All right, you know what? We'll start the show with curling. Of course, we just wrapped up the Scotties just 2 days ago. You had Jennifer Jones, of course, a 4-time Canadian champion, looking for her 5th, taking on a up-and-comer in Rachel Homan. Of course, she was there 2 years ago. Definitely learned a lot of lessons, and it proved, only losing once, taking on Jennifer Jones in the final and beating her. And now she's going to represent Canada at the Worlds coming up. But what can you say about her performance? Only 23 years of age. The confidence this woman has, the shots she's made were fantastic throughout the whole tournament.
Yeah, an unbelievable performance from Rachel Homan all week. They could have been the undefeated team instead of Manitoba. She played fantastic, and for 23 years old, I think her teammates were more afraid of her. I mean, I don't know what was going to happen if they missed. You know, we had a broomed rock in the final, and I thought she was ready to kill. But cooler heads prevailed, and again, they very professional team, and they played fantastic. I didn't expect the final to go quite as, it went a little lopsided early with a big 3 in the first end. And the middle ends didn't go their way either for Manitoba, so it was Homan's day to win.
Is it, you know, Scott, you play the game, when Jones is kind of getting off to a slow start like that, curling's such a momentum kind of game, where it's a lot of luck, a lot of variables come into play, and then sometimes the curling gods aren't smiling on it. That's kind of felt that for Jones in that game where, you know, it's not going to be her game.
She's been down 3 before. She's been up 3 before in a final, and she still lost both games. She still had plenty of opportunities here, too, to come back. Not just only for that Brent Rock, but there were several times when she could have gone for triples. Instead, it went through the house and ended up giving up a steal for 2.
Questionable shot, and I think it's about the 8th end, and she had to score. I mean, and it was the end where they gave up a steal or 2 and around the 8th end. That's a must make. She could have played a draw. She elected to play a real delicate, a real tricky shot. It was like a tick, bang, bang double, and we'll slide it into the forefoot for shot. I don't know. I'd have played the draw, get the single. You never know what's going to happen after the single point's being made. You're within 1 point. Instead, it's a miss, and they're down 4. So a big turning point in those middle ends.
What about Jill Shumay and her performance? You know what? Considering this was her first Scotties, 6-5.
Wow.
All she needed to do was beat, Marianne Arsenault, Nova Scotia. She had that opportunity. It didn't work out. But you know what? 6-5, not a bad record for a first-time event. You defeated the Canadian champion or defending Canadian champion, Heather Nedewin. You were very competitive throughout the tournament. What can you say about her and her first time?
I think more than anything, let's see how she can build off of this. Good experience for that young rink, and they know what it takes to win Saskatchewan. They know what it takes to win at the national level now, and it's nice to see them maybe come back next year and defend that Saskatchewan title, which, Scott, it's never easy. That's right,
but a terrific performance from Shumay. First time at the Scotties, and 6-5. If I was a betting man, I wouldn't have bet they would have won that much. And that's not to come from, I'm not saying that to be mean, but I mean, they're a rookie team. And there's a lot to take in. There's the fans, there's the media, and stepping into the box and being surrounded by this entire new environment and people yelling and cheering your name. The game takes on a whole new identity.
Yeah, it's different curling at the Communoplex, and in front of a few people there, to curling on the national scene and curling even on the provincial scene too. So it's great to see them, and hopefully this young team can really build on this.
Yeah, she beat Stephanie Lawton, and that's no easy feat either.
No, and Amber Holland too at provincials.
That's right.
They played great, and at provincials it was their day to win. They at Northerns, they got the last spot to get out, so they kept building on that. I'd like to see more of them on the national scene for sure.
I want to say this, Saskatchewan, when it comes to women's curling, have always been dominant. You know they're going to be there regardless who the representative is. However, in Saskatchewan, it's a little bit different, and Scott, it's a little bit tough. We haven't seen a Saskatchewan Brier champion in over 30 years, 35 years or so. It was back in the 1980s. So
Rick
Folk. It's been a long time coming for Saskatchewan. Now we have Brock Virtue, who's going to represent Saskatchewan, although he's not really from here. Now, it's not so much that you're born from another province and you come out and you're a resident of the other province. That's fine.
Right.
Like you, for example, you've been in both Alberta and now you were in the Saskatchewan.
Yeah, that's right.
But you are a representative of Saskatchewan. You do live in
Absolutely.
Saskatchewan. But Brock Virtue, still Alberta resident, pays his taxes there.
Lives
you
in
also
Calgary.
have Chris Shilley
Yep.
as another gentleman who does that, and he's their
Yep.
second on their team.
Lives-
Decided to come to Saskatchewan because he thought it'd be a little bit easier. Sure enough, he did win, so he's going to qualify. But the questions remain about that. Can you relocate and still be a part of one province and represent another?
Well, we saw Pat Simmons do it last year. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Pat lives in Moose Jaw and is playing out of a Calgary address, right? And that's how he's affiliating with Cooey. Now we have one player jumping from Saskatchewan to Alberta. Now we have two players jumping from Alberta to Saskatchewan. The whole thing stinks. I mean, it's a crazy idea that they've come up with to look at Saskatchewan like easy pickings, and we're just going to run over there and we're going to win it, and that's how we're going to go to the Brier. The Canada Curling Association, the Saskatchewan Curling Association, they really needed to flex their muscle and say, you're not welcome here. You need to take your championship, or before they even got to a championship final, they needed to be booted. You know,
they
don't belong. They don't belong in that championship.
Exactly. Canadian Curling Association has to step up, grow some rocks, I guess you can say.
Yeah, that's accurate.
And step up and say, hey, if you pay your taxes in this province, you can curl in that province. If you pay your taxes in Alberta, you curl in Alberta. But not in shipping in. Like, who's going to stop a team from maybe going up to the territories or some other province
Well, exactly.
that is a little weaker, that you think you have a strong rank? Let's go and curl out of there now.
Maybe I should go up and play against Jamie Cooey, and I can represent the Yukon Northwest Territories at the next Brier. Jamie Cooey got in because nobody played against him. That's how he's at this year's Brier, you know. And if with the minute they start jumping around like this, they're headed for a world of hurt. It's going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better. It's only a matter of time till we have 3 or 4 players coming from one province to another, and things get way out of hand. They needed to stop it a year ago. The officials, the associations, it's just going to get way out of hand. It's not sour grapes for me. We didn't make provincials, so they don't deserve that. They don't deserve the championship. I don't think anybody's going to do anything about it now. I think they're going to let it stand because they're afraid to do something about it. The rules need to change. This all happened in BC many years ago with the Merv Bodnerchuk fiasco. Yeah. And they said back then, this whole thing stinks. Well, it's just getting a whole lot riper.
Scott, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll get to more of this topic, too, because I do want to talk about the team and some foul language that was also used during the tankard play. So we'll be back with more Gloves Are Off coming up.